Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the new movie, Boy Kills World. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way I don't have to become a lethal assassin and avenge my family. The synopsis is as follows. Boy is a mayhem machine who's been training to assassinate the bloodthirsty Hilda Vanderkoy and avenge his family's murder. Guided by his sister's mischievous spirit, Boy uncovers one stunning revelation after another as he barrels towards Hilda. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. The beginning of this movie is an acid trip, literally and figuratively. Boy is mute and deaf and is being trained by the shaman to become a living weapon. His goal is to kill Hilda Vanderkoy. Hilda Vanderkoy has taken over a city and yearly holds something called the culling, where she gathers 12 people of this city and has them killed on live television. If that sounds like the Hunger Games, it's probably because it feels exactly like that. During one of these processes, Boy's family is killed. The shaman saves him and vows to train him and help him kill Hilda Vanderkoy. I really enjoyed the plot of this movie. Getting to see Boy hunt down Hilda, all while being accompanied by the spirit of his dead sister, worked really well for this movie. In addition to that, there's a lot of subtle details in this film that are really creative and have really cool things going for them. And I wish that the whole movie would have been like that. I also thought there was a rather excellent twist at the end, but because of other elements in this movie, your brain isn't in a place where you're able to fully appreciate what just happened. But in this area, for me, plot gets a thumbs up. 2 is family friendliness. Boy Kills World is rated R. There's minimal profanity, a bit of drug use, and an exuberant amount of violence and prolonged, bloody, gory fight scenes. You see some pretty disgusting things, so it's pretty obvious this movie is not family friendly. Family friendly just gets a thumbs down. 3 is acting and script. One of the elements that I thought was really interesting about this movie is that Boy is mute and deaf, but you hear his internal dialogue the entire movie. He doesn't remember what his own voice sounded like, so he picks a voice from an arcade machine and uses that as his own. That voice is H. John Benjamin's. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I did not like it at all, but in the movie it wasn't as annoying as I thought it was going to be. I do think that Bill Skarsgård did a great job as Boy, as he pretty much exclusively has to act using facial expressions to match the voice in his head. Quinn Copeland played his little sister Mina, and the acting dynamic between them on screen I think was one of the best parts of this movie. I also really liked Jessica Rothe as June 27, although you didn't get to see as much of her in this movie as I would have liked. All of the other acting performances in this movie were pretty atrocious, and I can't blame it solely on the script, but I'll go there now. The only way I can describe the script of this movie is brain rot. There's maybe 1 or 2 clever lines, and the moments of dialogue between Boy and Mina are good. Everything else is a bunch of unintelligent garbage that literally makes your brain tired and bored throughout the process of this movie. It was so frustrating and disappointing because this movie had the opportunity to be like movies like Upgrade or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where you have witty and funny dialogue in the midst of an action-packed movie, but what this movie thought was funny was actually extremely cheesy and brain rot, to the point where it pretty much ruined the movie. So besides the 3 actors that I mentioned, for me, acting and script get a huge thumbs down. 4 is character development. You get some minimal character development with Boy as he talks to his little sister Mina and progresses throughout the movie. And because of the twist at the end of the film, you do get a decent bit of character progression with him as well. There was a lot they could have leaned into more here to give him more character development, but they didn't, so it ends up still feeling pretty shallow. None of the other characters in this movie are developed whatsoever. In fact, the Vanderkoy family is so underdeveloped that you don't even really care that they're the villains, which is super important because you need to hate them as much as Boy does. So character development for me gets a thumbs down. 5 is visuals and CGI. There was some CGI in this movie, but it didn't take away or distract from the film. And visually, the things that I liked are not what I expected. For me, the visuals that I did really like came from some of those subtle, unique elements I was talking about. For example, Boy can only understand people by reading their lips. Most of the characters, he's able to do that, but there's one character where he's not, and everything that he hears is a bunch of random words and gibberish. And because of his imagination, it pans to a different scene where you see the gibberish or ridiculous things that he's hearing because he can't read that person's lips. That stuff is funny, and I like that. I also like that in his dialogue between him and his spirit little sister, in the middle of Boy fighting and almost dying, it adds this light air of humor to the movie, and I wish they would have leaned into that more. I also really like June 27 as a character, as she has this mask that can somehow put on the visor what she's wanting to say. And although the fight scenes are long and kind of bland, there were little elements sprinkled throughout that were entertaining if they'd been paid more attention to. But again, I think this movie confuses cheesy for entertaining. A lot of the things that started happening in the fight scenes, especially near the end, were almost laughable. Not because they were funny, but because they were cheesy and ridiculous. There was a lot of potential in this area for this movie, and it just didn't quite hit the mark for me. So for me, visuals and CGI, I get a 50-50. And 6 is rewatchability. Boy Kills World is an hour and 51 minutes long, and solely because of the terrible script and somewhat bland action sequences, this movie feels a bit long. Had this movie had a better script, I guarantee you it would have held my attention the entire time, even with the action sequences that weren't quite entertaining. Intelligent dialogue can do wonders for a film. And there's enough interesting stuff here, including the twist at the end, that could have made this movie fantastic. But instead, director Moritz Moore decided that unintelligent, stupid dialogue was the way to go, and that was somehow going to work for this movie. It didn't. It's very sad and disappointing, but I never want to subject myself to the terrible script that was this movie ever again. For me, rewatchability gets a thumbs down. With all these areas considered, I had to give Boy Kills World a 5 out of 10. This movie had so much potential. Really interesting characters, a lot of really creative, subtle details sprinkled throughout the film, an excellent twist, and some awesome visuals in a universe that's pretty original. But there were terrible acting performances, bland fight scenes that ended up coming across cheesy instead of entertaining and cool, and a script that absolutely tore this film down and ruined it. It's sad when you have as many cool and good things going for a movie as this one did, but then a few crucial factors just ruin the film, because this movie could have been excellent and I really wanted to enjoy it. So with all that in mind, I probably wouldn't waste your time or money going to see Boy Kills World in theaters. But if the unique elements I talked about interest you, you might check it out when it comes out on streaming platforms. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Boy Kills World, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.